a goddamn lovely van. She's a lovely van. Here's a goddamn... Listen, you people, I can't be bothered to have a good video every week. Somebody will need this, and remember, someday, fairly soon, I'll be dead, but these videos will live on, and some kid 30 years from now with a rock band will buy a ratty-ass ProMaster in a field and go, I must get this running. I must take my band on the road and spread my musical seed across the world. And that schmuck will have to watch these videos. So listen, you kid in 2054, get a real job, for God's sake. Why are you messing around with this old van? Put on your jetpack, get on your hovercraft, and go play the flute like all your friends. All right, carry on, good people. Goodbye. Look at it go. Look at it go. It's working again. My waste oil furnace is now working again. It's all motor oil in there. Anyway, all right, look. Here's this week's, there you go. Just, you sit there. Here's this week's video. What's it about? Well, about a month ago, one of my vans. This video illustrates some minor technology that may be helpful in terms of van diagnosing, but also just how much of a cheapskate and janky, flaky sketchiness I'm into on my vans. I wouldn't do that on your vans. Oh, but on my vans, we'll send them when they're mostly fixed. Anyway, so what happened was the dude was in Laredo, Texas. I think it was 147 degrees out, and I assume he was running the engine, and the damn thing caught fire. Flames were shooting out of the front of the van. So he leapt into action, and he got his fire extinguisher, and he exhausted himself all over the front of the van. I know what that's like, but not in this context. Where am I going with this? Anyway, so, Laredo's 1,700 miles away from me, and I don't want to go down there and tow something back from Laredo. So there's a shop in Laredo, very nice people who aren't really ProMaster mechanics, but they're handy, and they looked at it and they put a fan module in it, but all the wiring for the fan was burned. So and in a rare move where most shops won't do this, I said, hey dude, could you just hardwire it to a switch and wire the fan directly so the schmuck can turn the switch on and drive home and just get it back here? And they did, which is rare and special and old school and delightful and joyous and lascivious and downright erotic. And then it got back here and so on and sat for a while, and I was doing other things. And so what I did, because I know, and now you know, or soon you're about to know, that all the fan wiring, which is the power to both fans, the relay for both fans, the power resistor for both fans, and all the wiring all goes to the fuse box. And it's actually easier to, if you're taking a fan out, to unplug it from the fuse box than to do all those 6 individual plugs at the fan module itself. Well, that means that the wiring bundle is unitized and it's separate. And I pulled one off a junk van I have, so I just replaced the whole wiring as a unit, and it worked. And it didn't seem to damage anything else really, except maybe an oxygen sensor there with flames and so on. Anyway, you're about to see what the aftermath of that looks like, and it's fixed now. I've replaced the wiring, and it works all right, as you'll see. And then like that. Will you ever encounter this problem? Probably not, because I've never encountered it. But I don't know, it's something to know. Look, you people need entertained. You can watch my fancy oil furnace burn, which didn't work last year. You can't tell, but I'm in a gale force wind of hundreds of degrees of heat. I mean, this thing pumps it out. I'm starting to sweat in places I didn't know. Look, I've just in testing just to get it ready for winter. Check her out, man. I got her set to 80, and she's pushing 80. Ugh. All right, let's get to it, damn it. Do you think anybody's going to notice? You think that's where the fire was? I don't know. Doesn't look too bad. Nobody's got to know the better. Thing. It's not so bad. All right, it turns out the dude that fixed this in the field saved the part. Well, I think I know what happened there. It was not the motors, although that one shot would have the same effect. What took off was what's left of this, which would have been one of the resistors, I suppose. Let's file that right there. One one relay goes there and the resistor goes there. Oh, that is that resistor there. So is it the relay? That's where it goes. The resistor is still in it. I see it right there. Huh. Don't know, and the other resistor would have been there. That's some carnage, but it wasn't the resistor. It must have been that relay. I've never heard of a relay catching fire. Maybe it just ground it out. Don't know. Could the motor have taken off? It's awfully hot right there. Maybe. The thing is actually welded. Yeah, it was burning because this has melted and locked itself in. So I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? Well, you fix it. All right. Here's a fun one for you kiddies. Piece of shit van. This is one of mine, and it's terrible. All right. The important thing to know is what we're fighting here is I have unplugged the oil pressure sensor. It lives in the oil cooler below the manifold, and because well, here, I'll show you what's going on here before this gets super hot. This is my van, and one of the fans caught fire, and the driver hit it with a fire extinguisher, and it's a long story, but I just happen to have this apart. Get a little focus here. There we go, like this. So I can get my hand in under here and plug and unplug the oil pressure sensor. Right now it's unplugged. This is interesting because what does it do? How does it behave when it's unplugged? Well, when it's unplugged, it's coming up with, it thinks, oil pressure and VVT oil pressure. That's the derived oil pressure at the cam timing. It figures out what the oil pressure is by the position of the cams. Forget about that little flickering thing. That's something else. But it thinks it's stuck at 102, and the codes it's throwing, I had cleared them and just started this. So it's saying circuit high, circuit low, and oil pressure, oil O2 cent. That must be something else. O2. That doesn't make any sense. Those don't go through. Never mind those two codes. It thinks the oil is high. Now, let's do this. Let's go plug it back in before it gets so hot that it sears my flesh. By the way, this is the Olympic sport of unplugging this while it's running. Ow, ow, ah. All right, I have pushed it on. Ow, 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 mother of pearl. All right, ow. Okay, it's locked on. So I know this sensor is bad. Let's see what the data is off this sensor now that it's plugged back in. Yeah, 0 and 0, which tells me that that sensor isn't working, of course. Although the temp sensor, which the only place, as far as I know, I don't know if it derives that from the cam timing, but the oil temp sensor works. But what's important to know is this means I don't have to think about anything about the wiring from the sensor all the way back to the computer. Clearly the wiring works. Now let's do this. When I clear these codes, can everybody see all right? You know how I care about you people. If I clear all these fault codes, it will immediately come back as no oil pressure, and it'll light the oil light here on the dash. Don't make me a liar. There it is. See that little thing? And it says oil pressure low, and this little, ooh, it's a shadow. It's a little oil can. Oil pressure 0 pounds. Well, let it go. So I would assume with no data, it would default to a sort of a default cam timing position, and I would assume, I wonder if it will still advance the cams while it thinks it has no oil pressure. I'm going to look at all 4 cam positions here. Okay, that's about normal, more or less. I don't know if we've talked about this in the past, but if you'd like to. So when you pull this up, exhaust cam 1 will be about 6 to 8 degrees, and the other ones are usually less, whatever. But let's see if they shift as I... No, they don't. See, normally those would be advancing around because the engine, to make more power and be more efficient, will advance the cams, get more cam out of it while it's under part throttle, you know, light loads and whatever. It's like having multiple cams because it's variable cam timing, bitches. But right now it's stuck in the sort of idle setting. So I would imagine that this thing's going to have a little less power and maybe a little less economy, especially at the higher RPMs. But at the lower RPMs and in load situations, it's fine. It's not different enough to where you would, you know, actually throw money at this piece of shit. All right. Read. So if I go here to special functions, I can command, oh wait, it's over here, system test. I can command the fans to come on. High-speed fan test. Okay. Okay. Oh, engine must not be running. Well, I'll buy that. Thing does need to know its temperature. Then we'll look at the AC system. Fans on. There they are. And I happen to know both of them are running because I went out there and tested that. So that's working. Oh, gets up to about 230 maybe, it'll fire a fan because that's how it regulates the pressure. There's our fan. It's blowing. All right, and the temperature is incremented as well, so it's working. Fuck it, it's working. Ship it, send it. All right, well, wasn't that an informative yet not interesting video? She's a goddamn lovely man. She's a lovely